competition, right? Big E actually did had a quote out that came out today in an interview. This is what he actually said, and I think this is in relation to what you were just talking about. He said he was talking about AEW, and this is what he said. He said, I know from a fan perspective, a lot of people would prefer it if I come in here and trash talk everyone in AEW and stir the pot, but that's not my style. I think it forces us to raise our game. If you watch their shows and you see their rabid fan base / people losing their minds and people loving those shows, it should make us want to say, yo, we want to be dominating them. We want to step up our game. We want to put on the better show. So that's what Big E was saying. Do you think that AEW and WWE, do you think that helps make these compelling matches? The competition?
I mean, it's gonna make everybody step their game up. Even just say, for instance, I always talk about the character outside of the ring and then the character inside of the ring. As far as, you could be whatever you want to be outside of the ring. And I'm going to use a controversial name that I've used in past. Take someone like a Riddle, the broski, whatnot. All of that is, he could do all of that stuff outside of the ring. And then when he go inside of the ring, I need you to freaking, bring the noise. And one thing I must say with Riddle, he's been changing that a whole lot lately. When he get in the ring now, he goes in the ring and he performs. It's no crazy, stupid stuff going on in the ring. I can buy that all day long because, I always said it, I can make you laugh. Me and Goldust. I mean, we were some of the stupidest characters you could ever find on the show. But when we went in the ring and performed, we always, left that behind. I use another character, Adrian Street. He was one way outside of the ring. You thought he was soft. You thought he was a flower. And then when he get in the ring, the bell ring, he started whooping your behind. And what the heck's going on? So I like that because you're not just going to be able to go out and go in the ring and get by with that. You know what I mean? Just like, say, for instance, a Riddle. You can't go in the ring and have the same character when working against, one of these top name guys. Now, all of that has to go out the window. After the 1, 2, 3, if you get your hand raised, you can go back to doing whatever your dance or whatever. But when the bell rings, all of that stuff is. But people say, well, you did the spinneroonie. Yeah, that was a part of the match, that had nothing to do with wrestling. That was the entertainment part of it. But even in serious matches, the only time I did that was when we were going home, when it was time for me to get the people up to the ultimate place that I needed them to be. And then as a heel, I never would do it. So it's just, guys are going out there and really trying to play their in-ring the way it really needs to be played out. And I think that's what AEW forces WWE to do.
You run faster when someone's chasing you. I mean, it's the oldest cliche that I know, but it makes sense. It definitely makes sense. You look at just responses. If AEW puts on a really good show on Wednesday, you come in Friday for SmackDown, you're going to notice those guys have a little bit more oomph behind them. Those matches look a little bit more snug. They're going a little bit extra. They're not just going through the motions. And I think that it's probably easy to go through the motions, right? When you don't really have anybody behind you.
Heck yeah.
I think that probably. Did you experience any of that? Like when you went to WWE and after things kind of leveled out, there was no WCW. Did you kind of feel like, okay, hey, we're just going to come out and do the show, or were you always full gear?
No. I can tell you this: after there was no competition, I never really thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
I never really thought about if I needed to go out and work hard that night or not. I just knew I went out and worked. I know I didn't have to go out there and think about doing anything extra. I do know that. And I probably did put the brakes on a little bit just because I knew my job was secure. I knew I was, still high up on the card. I wasn't, thinking about getting fired or anything like that. So, yeah, maybe I did. And you know what? Maybe everybody did. And they've been in that mode for quite some time. And I can say that because, I was there when WCW took over also. And I remember when we were on top, the guys, they didn't start working harder. they put it on cruise control, man. It was party time. They didn't even care about wrestling anymore. You know what I mean? So I do know I've been on both sides, and I've seen how it is.
Yeah, I think that there was like a period of maybe 04, 03, 04, where we were far removed from WCW and the Monday Night Wars. And I think that, yeah, it makes sense. But now with AEW, and they're kicking butt from a show perspective with these matches that they put on, especially their pay-per-views. Their pay-per-views are normally all killer, no filler. You have to run faster. And I love hearing that from Big E. I love hearing him saying, look, man, these guys are killing it. The fans love it. We got to go out there. We got to dominate. We're the number one brand. We're WWE. We got to go out there and dominate.
Hey, man,
I like that talk.
All they got to do is just look at some of the old footage, and look at the crowds WWE would draw and how rabid those people would be in Madison Square Garden. Man, it was so freaking real. I mean, you could feel the energy, man, radiating off the people when you just walked across the street from the parking lot. I'm serious. It was like freaking Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier was in the building. That's the way it was. I mean, the NYPD would be on the street directing traffic, just so the boys, bro, I'm telling you, we were like rock stars. And when those fans they really made us feel that way because they showed up, man. And those crowds, man, they were, like I say, they were rabid. So all these guys got to do is just go back and look at that and wonder why was it like that back then. And then, of course, you're going to have the ones that say, well, they didn't have social media back then. They didn't have this, they didn't have that back then. They didn't have as much to compete with as we do or anything like that. Well, I'll tell you what we did have to compete with, the next guy on that damn roster that we knew was trying his best to get to the top of the roster. And the one way he was going to do it was go out there and he was going to be something different than anybody else on the card. That's what it made us do. And that's, what we didn't have, definitely we made up for it. Guys, stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame with Booker T and Brad Gilmore. We'll be back in a minute.